I think I didn't do anything wrong, just accepted a ride home from my husband's best friend after a late work event. Now, I'm sitting here holding official divorce papers, and everyone acts like I'm the one who ruined everything. How did a single ride turn into my whole life falling apart? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The trendy bistro's warm lighting cast a golden glow across the polished wood tables as I sat across from Connor Doyle, nursing my third glass of wine. The evening had started innocently enough. I'd genuinely stayed late at the office to finish quarterly reports, but when Connor texted asking if I wanted to grab dinner, I couldn't resist. "Mark doesn't appreciate you, Eulalia," Connor said, his green eyes intense as he leaned forward. "I see how he treats you at family gatherings, like you're just there to watch Ava and keep house." I felt a flutter in my chest. When was the last time my husband had really looked at me? Really listened when I talked about my day as an admin assistant at Morrison & Associates? Connor made me feel seen in a way I'd forgotten was possible. "It's not that simple," I said, though my voice lacked conviction. "Mark works hard. The IT consulting keeps us comfortable." "But what about what you need?" Connor's hand moved closer to mine on the table. "You're 33, Eulalia. You're beautiful, intelligent, funny. You deserve someone who sees that." My phone buzzed. A text from Mark. "Where are you? Ava's asking for you." I quickly typed back, "Working late. Tell her I love her. Home soon." It wasn't technically a lie. I had worked late. I just didn't mention the dinner part. "Everything okay?" Connor asked, noticing my distraction. "Fine. Just Mark checking in." I took another sip of wine, feeling rebellious. He could have called instead of texting. See what I mean? No real concern, just checking boxes. When the check came, Connor insisted on paying. "My treat. You deserve to be taken care of." Outside the restaurant, the October air was crisp. Connor's BMW sat gleaming under the streetlight. "I can call an Uber," I offered half-heartedly. "Nonsense. I'm driving you home." He opened the passenger door with a flourish. "Besides, I want to spend more time with you." The leather seats were heated, luxury I'd forgotten existed. Mark's practical Honda Civic suddenly seemed shabby in comparison. "Your husband's a lucky man," Connor said as we pulled onto the main road. "I hope he knows that." "Sometimes I wonder if he even notices I'm there anymore," I admitted, the wine loosening my tongue. "We're like roommates who happen to share a daughter." "That's not fair to you." Connor's voice was soft, sympathetic. "You're vibrant, alive. You shouldn't have to settle for being invisible." The drive to my suburban neighborhood took 20 minutes, but Connor took the scenic route, and I didn't complain. We talked about everything. My dreams of maybe going back to school, his work as a marketing consultant, places we'd like to travel. "Remember in college when you wanted to be a teacher?" he asked. I was surprised he remembered. Connor and Mark had been roommates at State, but I'd only been Mark's girlfriend then, background noise to their friendship. "You actually listened when I talked about that." "I always listened to you, Eulalia, even back then." His confession hung in the air between us. When we pulled into my driveway, I noticed Mark's home office light was still on. He was probably working on some client server issues, oblivious to my absence. "Thank you for tonight," I said, not moving to get out of the car. I needed this more than I realized. "We should do it again soon." Connor turned to face me fully. "Eulalia, I have to tell you something. I've always admired you. Even in college, I thought Mark was the luckiest guy alive." My heart raced. "Connor, I know it's complicated, but life's short, and you deserve to be happy." The porch light flicked on. Mark's silhouette appeared in the doorway. "I should go," I whispered, but I didn't move. Connor's hand found mine. "Think about what I said." I squeezed his fingers before finally opening the car door. As I walked up the driveway, I felt Connor watching me. The feeling was intoxicating. "How was work?" Mark asked as I entered, barely looking up from his laptop. "Long day," I replied, hanging my coat in the closet. "How's Ava?" "Asleep. She waited up for you until 9. Guilt pricked at me, but I pushed it down. "I told you I'd be late." "I know. Just saying she missed you." I went upstairs to check on our 7-year-old daughter. Ava was curled up with her stuffed elephant, dark hair spread across her pillow like marks. She looked so peaceful, so innocent. For a moment, doubt crept in. But then I remembered Connor's words, the way he'd looked at me like I mattered. When I returned downstairs, Mark was still absorbed in his work. "I'm going to bed," I announced. He mumbled without looking up. "See?" This was exactly what Connor meant. I could have announced I was running away to join the circus, and Mark would have given the same distracted response. As I lay in bed listening to Mark's fingers clicking on his keyboard downstairs, I replayed the evening. Connor's attention, his compliments, the way he made me feel special. Was it so wrong to want to feel appreciated? My phone buzzed with a text from Connor. "Thank you for a wonderful evening. Sweet dreams. Beautiful." I smiled in the darkness and quickly deleted the message, just in case. Saturday morning brought the usual chaos of Ava's soccer practice, grocery shopping, and household chores. I moved through the routine mechanically, my thoughts drifting to Connor's words from the night before. "Mom, you're putting the cereal in the fridge," Ava giggled, snapping me back to reality. "Silly me," I laughed, relocating the box to the pantry. "What would I do without you?" Mark looked up from his coffee. "Everything okay? You seem distracted." "Just tired. Long week." I avoided his eyes, busying myself with loading the dishwasher. "About last night. What project kept you so late?" The question seemed casual enough, but something in his tone made me defensive. "The quarterly reports. Mr. Morrison wanted them perfect for Monday's board meeting." "On a Friday night?" "Some of us can't work banker's hours," I snapped, immediately regretting the harshness. Mark's eyebrows rose. "I was just asking." "No need to bite my head off." "I'm not biting anyone's head off. I'm just tired of being questioned every time I work late. Eulalia, I ask because I care. And because Ava was disappointed. Don't make me the bad guy here, Mark. I work hard to contribute to this family." Ava looked between us, confusion clouding her young face. "Why are you and Daddy fighting?" "We're not fighting, sweetheart," I said quickly, shooting Mark a warning look. "We're just discussing grown-up stuff." The rest of the morning passed in tense silence. Mark took Ava to soccer practice while I stayed home, ostensibly to catch up on laundry. Really, I was replaying Connor's compliments and wondering if he'd text again. He did, around noon. "Hope you're having a good weekend. Thinking of you." I stared at the message for several minutes before responding. "You too. Thanks for last night." "Maybe we could grab lunch next week. I know a quiet place." My pulse quickened. This was moving beyond a friendly dinner, but the attention felt like water to a woman dying of thirst. "I'd like that," I typed back. When Mark and Ava returned, our daughter was full of stories about her game. "I almost scored, Mummy. Coach said I'm getting better at passing." "That's wonderful, baby." I hugged her, inhaling her sweet scent. "I'm proud of you." "Were you texting someone?" Mark asked quietly, while Ava changed out of her cleats. "Just Jade," I lied smoothly. "She's having issues with her boyfriend again." Mark nodded, but I caught him glancing at my phone screen. I quickly locked it and slipped it into my pocket. That evening, after Ava was in bed, Mark tried to initiate conversation. "Want to watch a movie? We haven't had a quiet night together in weeks." "I have a headache," I said. "I think I'll just read in bed." "Eulalia, is everything all right between us?" The direct question caught me off guard. For a moment, I almost told him everything. The loneliness, the feeling of being taken for granted, Connor's attention. But then I looked at Mark's familiar face, his concerned expression, and felt annoyed instead of guilty. "Why wouldn't it be?" "You've seemed distant lately, different." Maybe I'm just tired of being taken for granted. What do you mean? When's the last time you really looked at me, Mark? Not just, how was your day while you're staring at your laptop, but really saw me. Mark set down his coffee mug. I look at you every day. No, you see Mark's wife, Ava's mother, the woman who keeps your house running. When's the last time you saw Eulalia? That's not fair. I work hard to provide for this family. And I don't. I work full-time, manage Ava's schedule, handle the house, the bills, the social calendar. But somehow your work is more important. I never said that. You don't have to say it. You show it every day. Mark looked genuinely confused, which only irritated me more. How could he not see what was so obvious to Connor? What can I do differently? He asked. The question should have opened my heart. Instead, it felt like too little, too late. I don't know, Mark. Maybe just try caring about what I need for once. I left him sitting in the living room and went upstairs. Another text from Connor was waiting. Hope your weekend is better than you expected. You deserve happiness. I fell asleep clutching my phone, feeling understood by someone for the first time in months. Sunday brought an invitation to dinner at Mark's mother's house. Linda Vane had never been my biggest fan, but family dinners were tradition. She tolerated me for Mark's sake and adored Ava. Do we have to go? I asked Mark as he knotted his tie. She's making your favorite, pot roast. It's not my favorite, it's yours. Mark paused. Since when? Since always, Mark. I've told you I prefer chicken, but no one listens. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. His apology should have softened me, but it only highlighted how little attention he paid to my preferences. At Linda's house, the tension was immediate. Mark's mother had a sixth sense about family discord, and his older brother Gregory was there with his wife Sarah, creating an audience for any drama. Eulalia, you look tired, Linda observed as she hugged me. Are you feeling all right? I'm fine, thank you. Mark mentioned you've been working late a lot. I felt Mark's eyes on me. Just busy season at the office. Well, you need to take care of yourself. Ava needs her mother healthy and present. The implication stung. I'm very present in my daughter's life. Of course you are, dear. Linda's smile was tight. I just worry when I call to check on Ava and Mark says you're not home yet. You called to check on Ava? Friday night, actually. Poor thing was asking for her mommy. My face heated, so Linda knew exactly how late I'd been out, and she was making sure I knew she knew. Ava was fine, Mark interjected. We had pizza and watched a movie. Still, Linda continued, children need routine. Stability. My work doesn't make our home unstable, I said through gritted teeth. Gregory cleared his throat. Maybe we should talk about something else. How's soccer going, Ava? Our daughter launched into excited chatter about her team, breaking the tension momentarily. But I felt Linda's disapproving gaze throughout dinner. Later, as Mark helped his mother in the kitchen, Gregory cornered me in the living room. Everything okay with you and my brother? Why would you ask that? He seems stressed, distracted, and you seem... He paused, searching for words. I seem what? Different, like your mind's somewhere else. Maybe it is, I said defiantly. Maybe I'm tired of everyone thinking they know what's best for me. Gregory frowned. Eulalia, Mark's a good man. He loves you and Ava more than anything. Does he? Because sometimes it feels like we're just obligations to him. That's not true, and you know it. Do I? When's the last time he took me out to dinner, asked about my dreams, made me feel like anything more than a household appliance? Gregory's expression hardened. Marriage isn't about being entertained, Eulalia. It's about partnership, commitment, building something together. Easy for you to say. Sarah worships the ground you walk on. Sarah and I work at our marriage, every day. The conversation was interrupted by Mark returning with dessert, but I felt Gregory's disapproval radiating across the room for the rest of the evening. On the drive home, Mark was quiet. Finally, he spoke. My family's worried about us. Your family needs to mind their own business. They love us, They want us to be happy. Do they? Or do they just want me to fall in line and be the perfect wife they think you deserve? Mark pulled into our driveway and turned off the engine. What's really going on, Eulalia? This isn't like you. Maybe this is exactly like me, and you just never noticed. I got out of the car before he could respond, my phone already buzzing with a message from Connor. Hope your Sunday was peaceful. Thinking of you. For the first time all day, I smiled. Monday brought Connor's promised lunch invitation. He'd chosen a small cafe across town, far from my office and Mark's usual haunts. You look beautiful, he said as I slid into the booth across from him. That color brings out your eyes. I'd changed outfits 3 times that morning, finally settling on a blue dress I hadn't worn in months. Mark hadn't noticed, of course. Thank you. It's nice to be somewhere that isn't the office or soccer practice. Tell me about your weekend, Connor said, reaching across to squeeze my hand. I found myself confessing everything. Linda's passive-aggressive comments, Gregory's lecture, Mark's oblivious questions. Connor listened intently, his thumb stroking across my knuckles. They're trying to control you, he said, make you feel guilty for wanting more than their narrow definition of what a wife should be. Maybe they're right, though. Maybe I am being selfish. Eulalia, look at me. His green eyes were intense. You are not selfish for wanting to be seen, appreciated, desired. You're a woman, not a servant. The word desired sent heat through me. When had Mark last looked at me with desire? I keep thinking about what you said Friday night, I admitted. Which part? About deserving happiness. Connor's smile was warm, intimate. You do deserve it, more than you know. We talked for 2 hours, our food growing cold as the conversation deepened. Connor asked about my college dreams, my favorite books, places I wanted to travel. He remembered details about me that my own husband had forgotten. I should get back, I finally said, though I didn't want to leave. Same time next week? Yes, I said without hesitation. That evening, Jade Lee called while I was making dinner. My closest friend since college, Jade had always been my sounding board. You sound different, she observed after we'd chatted for a few minutes. Happier. What's going on? Can't I just be in a good mood? Eulalia Vane, I've known you for 12 years. Spill. I found myself telling her about Connor, though I downplayed the intensity of our connection. Wait, isn't Connor Mark's best friend? Yes, but we're just talking. He listens to me, Jade. Really listens. Honey, be careful. This sounds like dangerous territory. Nothing's happened, I protested. We're friends. Friends don't usually make married women glow like you're glowing right now. I'm not glowing. You are. And while I'm happy you feel appreciated, this could get complicated fast. Mark and I are practically strangers living in the same house. At least Connor sees me as a person. Have you tried talking to Mark about how you feel? What's the point? He's perfectly content with our arrangement. Eulalia, you're walking a tightrope here. Just be careful you don't fall. After we hung up, I felt slightly deflated, but then Connor texted, Thank you for lunch. You made my whole week brighter. Jade didn't understand. She'd never felt invisible in her own marriage. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Connor and I met for lunch twice a week, texting daily. I told Mark I was having regular lunches with Jade to discuss her relationship problems. He seemed relieved I had an outlet and didn't ask questions. Our conversations grew more intimate. Connor shared his loneliness. He'd been divorced for 3 years and hadn't found anyone who understood him. I opened up about feeling trapped, unappreciated, forgotten. You're wasted on him, Connor said one afternoon as we sat in his car after lunch. Mark doesn't deserve you. He's not a bad man, I said, though my defense lacked conviction. No, but he's the wrong man. For you, anyway. Connor's hand found mine, his fingers intertwining with mine. The touch sent electricity through me. This is dangerous, I whispered. The most worthwhile things usually are. I should have pulled away. Instead, I squeezed his hand tighter. 3 weeks into our lunch routine, Linda called with another dinner invitation. This time, Connor would be there too. Mark had invited him, not knowing about our secret meetings. "It'll be fine," I told myself as I got dressed. "We're just friends." But when Connor arrived at Linda's house and his eyes met mine across the room, the air crackled with tension. He looked handsome in his navy blazer, and I'd worn the blue dress he'd complimented. "Eulalia, you look lovely," he said, kissing my cheek in greeting. His lips lingered a moment too long. "Thank you," I replied, aware of Mark watching the interaction. Dinner was torture. Connor sat across from me, and I felt his gaze constantly. When he complimented Linda's cooking, I found myself laughing too loudly. When he told a story about work, I hung on every word. "Connor, you should settle down again," Linda said over dessert. "Find a nice woman, start a family." "I'm waiting for the right woman," he replied, his eyes finding mine. "Someone special." My cheeks heated. Mark frowned. "What about that lawyer you were dating?" Mark asked. "That ended months ago. We weren't compatible." Connor's gaze never left my face. "I need someone who understands me." "Understanding is important in a relationship," I said, my voice breathier than intended. "Feeling seen, appreciated." "Exactly," Connor agreed. "Some people are lucky enough to find that. Others settle for less than they deserve." The comment hung in the air. Gregory cleared his throat uncomfortably. Linda's eyes narrowed. "Well," Mark said stiffly, "I think most successful marriages are built on more than just feeling understood. Commitment, responsibility, putting family first." "Of course," Connor replied smoothly. "But without genuine connection, isn't that just going through the motions?" I felt compelled to agree. Connor's right. Marriage should be a partnership of equals, not just checking boxes. Mark's jaw tightened. Some boxes are important, like fidelity, trust, being present for your family. The rebuke stung. "I'm always present for Ava." "Are you?" Linda interjected. "Because you seem to work late quite often lately." Heat flooded my face. "My job is demanding." "Of course it is, dear. I just think children need consistency." "Ava is perfectly fine," I snapped. "She's happy, healthy, and loved." "No one's questioning that," Gregory said diplomatically. "We all just want what's best for everyone." "What's best," I said, standing abruptly, "is for people to stop making assumptions about my life." I excused myself to the bathroom, my hands shaking with anger and embarrassment. A few minutes later, Connor appeared in the hallway. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," I lied. "No, you're not. They're ganging up on you." "Maybe they have a point." "They don't." Connor stepped closer. "You're a wonderful mother and wife. If they can't see that, it's their loss." "Connor, we shouldn't be talking alone." "Why? We're friends. Friends support each other." His hand touched my arm, warm and comforting. "You deserve better than this, Eulalia. We should get back. In a minute." His thumb stroked my skin. "I hate seeing you hurt." The moment stretched between us, charged with possibility. Then, Ava's voice called from the dining room. "Mummy, where are you?" I stepped back quickly. "Coming, sweetheart." When we returned to the table, the conversation had moved to safer topics, but I felt Mark's eyes on me for the rest of the evening. As we prepared to leave, Connor hugged me goodbye, his embrace lasting longer than appropriate. "Take care of yourself," he murmured in my ear. In the car, Mark was silent until we were halfway home. "What was that about?" "What was what about?" "You and Connor. The looks, the comments, the way you defended him." "I didn't defend him. I agreed with his point about marriage." "His point seemed to be that our marriage is meaningless." "Maybe it is," I said before I could stop myself. Mark pulled over abruptly. "What did you just say?" "Nothing. I'm tired." "No, you said maybe our marriage is meaningless. I want to know what you meant." I stared out the window. "I meant maybe we're just going through the motions like Connor said." "And you think that's my fault?" I think we both stopped trying somewhere along the way. I try every day, Eulalia. I work to provide for our family. I help with Ava. I try to be a good husband. You try to be a provider and a father. When's the last time you tried to be a husband? Mark was quiet for a long moment. What do you want from me? I want you to see me, really see me, not just as Ava's mother or the woman who keeps your house running. I do see you. No, you don't. Connor sees me more in one conversation than you do in a month. The words were out before I could stop them. Mark's face went pale. Connor sees you? I meant hypothetically. No, you didn't. How often do you talk to Connor? Mark, you're being paranoid. Am I? Because tonight felt like I was watching my wife flirt with my best friend. That's ridiculous. Is it? The way you looked at him, laughed at everything he said, agreed with every word out of his mouth. I was being friendly. You were being inappropriate. I was being myself for once instead of the perfect wife everyone expects me to be. Mark stared at me for a long moment, then started the car without another word. The rest of the drive passed in tense silence. That night, as Mark worked late in his office, I received a text from Connor. I'm sorry if I made things difficult tonight. You looked beautiful and I couldn't help myself. I stared at the message for several minutes before responding. It's complicated. The best things usually are. Sweet dreams. Beautiful. I deleted the conversation and went to bed, but sleep eluded me. Across the hall, I could hear Mark typing furiously on his keyboard. Something had shifted tonight, and I wasn't sure there was any going back. The next morning, Mark left for work without saying goodbye. I found a note on the kitchen counter. Taking Ava to school. We need to talk tonight. My stomach churned. The confrontation I'd been avoiding was coming, and I wasn't ready. I called in sick to work, something I never did, and spent the morning pacing the house. By noon, I couldn't stand the isolation anymore. I called Jade and asked to meet for coffee. You look terrible, Jade said when she saw me at our usual cafe. What's wrong? I told her about the dinner, the tension with Mark, his suspicions about Connor. Eulalia, please tell me you haven't crossed any lines with Connor. We're just friends, I insisted, but even to my own ears, it sounded weak. Friends don't usually cause marital explosions. What exactly has been happening between you two? I found myself confessing everything. The lunches, the texts, the growing emotional intimacy. Jade's expression grew increasingly concerned. Honey, you're having an emotional affair. That's not what this is. What would you call it then? You're sharing intimate thoughts with another man, lying to your husband about it, and clearly developing feelings. Connor understands me in a way Mark never has. Because Connor wants something from you. Mark already has you, or thought he did. That's not fair. Isn't it? Connor gets to be the exciting, attentive other man, while Mark handles the daily grind of marriage and fatherhood. Of course, Connor seems more appealing. You don't understand what my marriage is like. Then help me understand. What has Mark done that's so terrible? I struggled to articulate specific grievances. He takes me for granted, doesn't really see me. Have you told him that? Directly, not in the middle of a fight? He should know. Eulalia, men aren't mind readers. If you're unhappy, you need to communicate that before seeking comfort elsewhere. Why are you taking his side? I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm trying to save your marriage before you destroy it completely. Maybe it's already destroyed. Jade leaned forward. Is that really what you want? To blow up your family for a fantasy with Connor? It's not a fantasy. What Connor and I have is real. What you have is an escape from reality. But reality includes Ava, your home, the life you've built with Mark. What if that life isn't enough anymore? Then you owe it to your family to try fixing it before you throw it away. I left the cafe feeling more confused than ever. Jade's words stung because part of me knew she was right, but Connor's attention felt like oxygen to someone who'd been suffocating. That afternoon, I returned to work to find the office buzzing with gossip. Apparently, someone had seen Connor and me at lunch the previous week. Eulalia, my supervisor, Mrs. Patterson, called me into her office. I need to discuss something sensitive with you. My heart sank. There's been talk about you having lunch with a man who isn't your husband. Now, your personal life is your business, but when it affects office morale or our reputation— It was just a friend, I said quickly. I'm sure it was, but appearances matter. Perhaps you could be more discreet about your lunch arrangements. I nodded, humiliated. By the end of the day, I could feel my colleagues' whispers following me. The shame was overwhelming. Connor texted that evening. Can we talk? I heard there might be rumors at your office. I called him from my car in the grocery store parking lot. This is getting out of hand, I said without preamble. What do you mean? People are talking. Mark is suspicious. My supervisor basically warned me about my reputation. So what are you saying? Maybe we should cool things down for a while. Connor was quiet for a moment. Eulalia, don't let them intimidate you into giving up your happiness. My happiness? Connor, I'm married. I have a daughter. This isn't some romantic movie. No, it's your life, and you deserve to live it fully, not just exist in some half-marriage that makes everyone else comfortable. I can't keep lying to Mark. Then don't. Tell him the truth, that you're unhappy, that you need more than he's giving you. And us? What about us? I'm not going anywhere, Eulalia. When you're ready to choose your own happiness over everyone else's expectations, I'll be here. After we hung up, I sat in my car crying. Everything was spiraling out of control, and I didn't know how to stop it. At home, Mark was helping Ava with homework, while dinner simmered on the stove, something I'd forgotten to start in my emotional turmoil. Thank you, I said quietly as he looked up from Ava's math worksheet. For what? Handling dinner. I got caught up at work. It's fine. We're a team, remember? The kindness in his voice made my guilt worse. This was the man I'd married, the father of my child. When had I stopped seeing his good qualities? After Ava went to bed, Mark poured 2 glasses of wine and sat beside me on the couch. We need to talk, he said gently. I know. I've been thinking about what you said last night, about me not seeing you. I braced myself for accusations, but instead, Mark's voice was thoughtful. Maybe you're right. Maybe I have been taking you for granted. Mark, let me finish. I love you, Eulalia. I love our family, our life together. If you're feeling neglected, I want to fix that. Tears pricked my eyes. It's not that simple. Why not? Tell me what you need, and I'll do it. What I need is to feel like myself again. Not just your wife or Ava's mother, but Eulalia. You are Eulalia. You've always been Eulalia to me. When's the last time you asked about my dreams, my hopes? When's the last time you looked at me and saw the woman you fell in love with? Mark was quiet, considering. You're right. I've been so focused on providing, on being responsible, that I forgot to be your partner. And I've been so lonely that I stopped myself before the confession spilled out. That you what? Nothing, I've been struggling. Mark reached for my hand. We can fix this. We can go to counseling, take a trip together, whatever you need. What if it's too late? It's not too late, not unless you've already given up on us. I looked at my husband, really looked at him. His brown eyes were sincere, hopeful. He was offering to fight for our marriage, and all I felt was exhaustion. I haven't given up, I lied. Good. Because I love you, and I'm not giving up either. We made love that night for the first time in months. Mark was gentle, attentive, trying to reconnect, but as he held me afterward, I felt like a fraud. My body was there, but my heart was elsewhere. The next morning brought a text from Connor. Missing you, hope you're okay. I stared at the message, torn between guilt and longing. Mark was trying, but Connor understood me in a way that felt effortless. I typed back, missing you too. The die was cast. Despite Mark's efforts, despite Jade's warnings, despite my own guilt, I couldn't let go of what Connor offered. The connection felt too real, too necessary. I just didn't realize that Mark was already gathering evidence of my betrayal. 2 weeks after Mark's promise to work on our marriage, I thought we were making progress. He'd been more attentive, asking about my day, planning a weekend getaway for just the two of us. But I continued meeting Connor for lunch, telling myself that Mark's efforts were too little, too late. He's trying, I admitted to Connor over coffee at our usual spot. Trying because he's scared of losing you, Connor replied. That's not the same as genuinely seeing you. Maybe it's a start. Connor's jaw tightened. Eulalia, don't let him manipulate you into staying in a marriage that makes you miserable. I'm not miserable anymore. Mark's been different. For 2 weeks. What happens when the novelty wears off and he goes back to taking you for granted? I didn't have an answer for that. I've been thinking, Connor continued. Maybe it's time to be honest with him. Tell him how you feel, what you need. And us? I'm not going anywhere. If you decide you want more than a reformed marriage, I'll be here. That afternoon, I returned to work to find Jade waiting in the lobby. We need to talk, she said, her expression serious. We went to the small park across the street from my office building. I've been thinking about our conversation, Jade began, about you and Connor. Jade, I don't want another lecture. This isn't a lecture, it's a reality check. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. This was taken last week. It was Connor and me at lunch, his hand covering mine across the table, both of us laughing. We looked intimate, couple-like. Where did you get this? It's making the rounds on social media. Someone tagged it as spotted local businessman with mystery woman. Eulalia, people are talking. My blood ran cold. Does Mark know? I don't know, but it's only a matter of time. Oh, God. You need to end this before it destroys everything. I can't. What do you mean you can't? I mean I can't give up the only person who makes me feel alive. Jade stared at me. You're willing to lose your husband and potentially your daughter for this man. It won't come to that. Won't it? Eulalia, you're living in a fantasy. This is real life with real consequences. You don't understand. I understand that you're about to throw away everything that matters for a man who's never had to deal with the reality of being married to you. That's cruel. It's honest. Connor gets the best of you, the excited, appreciated version. Mark gets the daily grind, the stress, the real work of marriage and parenthood. Mark chose to marry me. So did you choose to marry him, and you promised to forsake all others. I left Jade in the park, angry and defensive, but her words haunted me for the rest of the day. That evening, Mark was quiet during dinner. He helped Ava with her homework, read her a bedtime story, and tucked her in as usual. But something felt different. Everything okay? I asked as he poured himself a scotch, unusual for a weeknight. We need to talk. The words sent ice through my veins. About what? Mark pulled out his laptop and opened it on the kitchen table. About this. On the screen was the photo Jade had shown me, along with several others I hadn't known existed. Connor and me walking to his car. Connor and me sitting close together in a restaurant booth. Connor and me in what looked like an intense, intimate conversation. Mark, I can explain. Can you? Because these photos tell a pretty clear story. We're friends. We have lunch sometimes. Friends? Mark clicked to another screen showing phone records. You've texted him 247 times in the past month. Called him 18 times. My mouth went dry. How did you get my phone records? I'm on the account, Eulalia. I have access to everything. He clicked again, including your location data. A map appeared showing my movements over the past weeks, the restaurants where Connor and I had met, the park where we'd walked last Tuesday, the hotel bar where we'd had drinks 2 days ago. You've been tracking me. I've been trying to understand why my wife has been lying to me for weeks. I haven't been lying. Really? Mark's voice was deadly calm. You told me you were having lunch with Jade. You told me you were working late. You told me you were running errands. He pointed to the screen. But you were with Connor Doyle, my best friend, having what looks like a very intimate relationship. It's not what you think. What I think is that my wife is having an affair. I'm not sleeping with him. No, just emotionally cheating then. That's supposed to make me feel better. I sat down heavily, the weight of my deception crashing over me. Mark, please let me explain. Explain what? How you've been lying to me for weeks? How you've been meeting secretly with my best friend? How you've been sharing things with him that you won't share with me? I was lonely. So you decided to have an affair instead of talking to your husband. I tried to talk to you. You never listened. When? When did you try to talk to me about being lonely? I struggled to remember specific instances. It shouldn't matter when. You should have known. I should have known. Mark's laugh was bitter. Right. I should have read your mind while I was working 60-hour weeks to keep us comfortable. This isn't just about the money, Mark. No, it's about you being selfish and dishonest instead of working on our marriage. I'm not selfish. Aren't you? You're risking our family, our daughter's stability, for what? Some fantasy with Connor? It's not a fantasy. He understands me. He wants to sleep with you, Eulalia. That's not the same thing as understanding you. You're wrong. Am I? Has he told you he loves you yet? Promised you a future together? I didn't answer, but my silence was telling. Jesus Christ. Mark ran his hands through his hair. How far has this gone? We haven't slept together. But you want to. Mark, answer me. Do you want to sleep with my best friend? The question hung in the air between us. I could lie, but what was the point? The truth was written all over my face. I don't know. You don't know. Mark closed the laptop. Well, I know something. I know I won't be made a fool of in my own marriage. What does that mean? It means you have a choice to make. End this thing with Connor completely. No contact, no meetings, nothing. Or I file for divorce. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. What about Ava? What about her? You should have thought about Ava before you started this affair. I told you it's not an affair. Call it whatever you want. It ends now, or we end now. Mark, please, we can work through this. Can we? Because I don't know how to work through my wife being in love with another man. I'm not in love with him. Aren't you? The question stopped me cold. Was I in love with Connor? Or was I just in love with the way he made me feel? I need time to think. You have until tomorrow night. End it with Connor, or I call my lawyer. Mark left me sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the closed laptop. Upstairs, I could hear him moving around in our bedroom, probably packing a bag for the guest room. I picked up my phone to call Connor, then put it down. What would I say? That my husband had found out? That I had to choose? The phone buzzed with a text from Connor. Thinking of you. Hope you had a good day. I stared at the message, torn between desire and duty, between the life I had and the life I thought I wanted. Everything was falling apart, and for the first time, I wasn't sure Connor's understanding was worth the price I was about to pay. I didn't sleep that night. Mark had indeed moved to the guest room, and the house felt hollow without his presence beside me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face when he'd shown me the evidence. Hurt, betrayed, but also determined. By morning, I'd made my decision. I would end things with Connor and try to save my marriage. Whatever I felt for Mark's best friend wasn't worth losing my family. But when I went downstairs, Mark was already gone. A note on the counter said he'd taken Ava to school and wouldn't be home until evening. Have your answer ready, it concluded. I called in sick again and spent the morning rehearsing what I'd say to Connor. It had to be final, definitive. No room for him to talk me out of it. We met at our usual cafe one last time. Connor took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. What's happened? Mark knows, I said simply. Connor's expression darkened. How? Photos, phone records. He's been tracking everything. Shit. Connor reached for my hand, but I pulled back. I can't do this anymore. Eulalia, don't let him intimidate you. We can figure this out. Figure what out? You want me to leave my husband for you? If that's what it takes for you to be happy, yes. The answer should have thrilled me. Instead, it terrified me. And Ava, what about my daughter? Kids are resilient. She'll adjust. Adjust to her mother breaking up the family for another man. Adjust to her mother choosing happiness over settling. Connor, this is real life. I can't just blow everything up because we have feelings. Why not? Life's short, Eulalia. How long will you stay unfulfilled? Mark's a good man. He's trying to change. He's trying to control you. No, he's trying to save us. And so am I. Connor studied me. So you're ending this? Yes, it's over. You don't mean that. I do. He leaned in, voice intense. I love you. I've loved you for years, even when you were Mark's girlfriend. You feel it too. The word struck like a blow. Connor, leave him. We can be together. And play happy family. You as Ava's stepfather. Why not? You love the fantasy me, the lunch dates, the texts. Not the real me, sick, stressed, exhausted from a screaming kid. I want all of it. No, you want the affair, not the grind of marriage. So you're choosing him. I'm choosing my family. Silence. Then, what if it's too late? Mark knows everything. He won't forgive you. Ice in my veins. What did you do? He called last night, asked if I was sleeping with his wife. And? I told the truth. I love you. You deserve better. You told him we love each other. It's obvious. I buried my face in my hands. You've ruined everything. I've freed you. It wasn't over. Mark wanted to fix things. I fled the cafe, hands shaking on the wheel. Mark's car was home early. In his office, papers strewn. I ended it, I blurted. I know. Connor called. He told you. That you're in love with him. That's not... Isn't it? He was convinced you'd leave me. I chose you, our family. After my ultimatum, not the same. Mark, please. It was a mistake. A mistake? Weeks of lies, defending him at Mom's, lighting up around him, pulling away from me. That's deliberate. I'm sorry. Sorry you got caught. His calm cracked. Fair? I wondered what I did wrong. Ava asked why Mommy's unhappy. My best friend betrayed me. Tears fell. I never meant. But it happened. Can I trust you again? You can. Would you have told me without the photos? I couldn't say yes. He slid a folder across. Filed for divorce this morning, served tomorrow. No, we can work. We can't work through you falling for him. I'm not. Then why did my threat end it? No answer. Out by weekend. Stay with Jade or your parents. I want primary custody. On what grounds? Poor judgment. You put desires over family stability. Don't punish Ava. I'm protecting her. She needs a mother who puts her first. Have you? I thought of distracted bedtimes, missed practices, distant dinners. I can change. Maybe, but I can't risk her on maybe. His phone rang. Lawyer, process server's coming. 20 minutes later, papers in hand. Mark Vane versus Eulalia Vane. Irreconcilable differences. Primary custody requested. I loved you, he said quietly. But not if you're in love with him. I'm not. Then you threw us away for nothing. He packed Ava's things. They left for his mother's. Alone amid our life crumbling, I admitted I'd loved the idea of Connor. But love on lies isn't love. It's selfishness. One ride home with my husband's best friend cost me everything. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.